Hey, this is David for BigBits and welcome back. In this video, we're going to take a look at another Lightnite update, and this one is at their March development blog. Now, they do post these a little bit after the month that they've done the work in, and then of course I'm usually a few days late myself getting around to actually doing this, so we are a little bit behind when this was actually announced, but we have also already posted our video of the first look of their first build that was available to actually get into a game environment. And if you haven't seen that yet, go back. There's a playlist on my channel for Lightnite, which goes back to their very first announcement. So if you're curious about Lightnite and you're checking out this video and you've not seen any of my videos before, subscribe to the channel. We will be covering Lightnite for a while because I think it's a really cool project, honestly. It covers a lot of things that I like, games and Bitcoin. So we're going to continue doing that, but in this video we're going to take a look at their March development blog, and we're going to have a lot to cover in this one. It's pretty long. I'm going to try and be quick. Okay, so I've already mentioned they have released their single player. It's very important you keep your expectations low, and they mentioned this a little bit later on in this dev blog, is that they are trying to be as open as possible. This open development policy, I believe, is what they call it. But essentially, they are sharing as much as they can and being as transparent as possible about what they're doing. And that goes a long way with helping build trust with the people who are kind of invested in what they're doing, such as myself. I pre-purchased the game and I've been following it ever since it was announced. So for people like us, it's very good for building trust, and then also it's a pretty good idea sometimes to gather attention, but like they mentioned, it does make you a little bit vulnerable to other people attacking you, basically saying, what is this? This isn't finished. This looks awful. And a lot of times people will jump the gun and not give you enough time to complete what you're working on. So definitely managing your expectations right now is a very good idea. And this comes with any project. I'm not sure if you all know this, but I'm actually a certified project manager. And one of the key things you need to do on your projects, and especially game design, this is a project as well, you need to manage your expectations. You need to let people know what they can expect to actually receive and how things are actually proceeding, and I think they're doing a really good job of that, in my opinion. Alright, so on to their actual updates here. Their character control, this was in the single player. This was a basic kind of placeholder. I was kind of figuring this out as we went because it was missing well, not a lot of features, but it was missing some of the main features, and it wasn't quite as polished as you would have liked. And of course, this is their first build, so that's kind of to be expected. But they're going to have more things coming along in the future, obviously. But one thing that they didn't mention here that I kind of remember was an actual emote using the E keybind. So they did have a little bit more in there than they're giving themselves credit for. And they also mentioned a minigame system. I've seen some videos out there on YouTube where people kind of give this a hard time because it's just another battle royale game. And to be fair, there's a lot of those, but I think there is a particular niche for this type of game, and when they add in the mini game system, they'll open things up a little bit more to people who aren't really a huge fan of battle royale type stuff. But just being a game that integrates Bitcoin in it and is probably going to get a decent amount of attention when it is actually released is going to be a good thing. Just overall for crypto in general, in my opinion, they've already got several people they're working with. It looks like they're doing a good job of collaborating, and I see a lot of great things coming from them, so hopefully this actually does play out. Let's see, they talk about the different mini game types. There's going to be leaderboards for those, Easter eggs, things like this. Nothing, I'm not going to get too excited about it because we are kind of early on in the development process, and those things are kind of subject to change. Now, there is a lot of technical type stuff in this dev blog, and it's a dev blog, so you might kind of expect that. But their first prototype, they admitted they have not taken many optimization steps. Now, they say they had it to where they done enough optimization so that they felt like you could play it on a fairly average computer and it not be too sluggish. Now, I don't I haven't tried it on a sluggish computer. I have a pretty decent computer with a very nice graphics card. I have a GTX 1080 Ti, which is a pretty high-end graphics card. It's not the highest end anymore, but a couple years ago it was pretty much the highest tier card you could get at the time. So I was playing at the highest level settings they had. I had absolutely no issues. The game looked great from a first impression standpoint. The lighting I thought was really nice. And if you want to go check out what the game looks like, go back to that last video. There's a lot of stuff. I went through pretty much the whole map for the most part, at least with inside the buildings, and played around with a few things. It looked really good. Let's see. Here are some more technical things. The optimization. So they wanted to get the game to run at 60 frames per second. And if you just look at the staircase they're showing you here, you see a bunch of different colors, and essentially what they're doing with their optimization that they're talking about with this mesh combined studio is they're taking all of these different objects and they're pretty much converting them into one big object. So you can imagine if you were a computer and you were trying to load information, it would be much easier to load the details for one big object as opposed to 50 small objects. So that's kind of what this is accomplishing, kind of merging things together and allowing the system to load them quicker that way. At least that's my understanding of that. Let's see, they also had some tweaks with the lighting system, but like I said, I thought it looked really good at the time. And they have done some work with the colliders, and that is the system that allows the game to detect when there are collisions. Now, this is important for making sure that you don't run through walls and buildings, that if there are cars driving around, that if they hit you, you'll know when you get hit because you will have collided, and the collider system detects that stuff. User interface, I believe they ended up going with this one in their first build, but they had several mock-ups available. I do like this one the most. I do think that maybe the yellow part is a bit too wide, but like I said, it's so early on, it's not really that important. And they came out with some color palettes for their modal pop-ups, or they're just their informational pop-ups or message pop-ups, whatever you want to call them, during the middle of the game. And my favorite one, I believe, is number 5 here. So I'm curious what other people think on this, because I really do like number 5 the most myself. I'm curious as to what other people think, because I can't remember which one they actually used in the game. So if you have a thought on that, just leave a comment in the video. Now, they have also done something pretty cool, which I guess is probably standard for game development. I've done a little bit of game development myself back in the past, but I never worked with Unity, so I can't say for sure if what they're doing is actually kind of a standard thing now or not. But they have taken this markup language, which is kind of similar to HTML, or they determine it, or they say it is web design, as like web design, and it allows you to place your items on the screen in a well organized way without manually placing them. And essentially what that means is your design can be more responsive, and that is the word that we use in web development, where we're using things like Bootstrap to make our web pages responsive and work on different devices with different screen resolutions. I imagine that's a similar system that they're using here, so that their elements kind of align nicely on different screen sizes. Now, they've talked about the open development, which I touched on earlier, which we've also touched on the expectations. So I'm not really going to go into depth on this. You can go read this for yourself. There should be a link to this particular development blog in the description of the video, so if you want to go check that out too. There's going to be some other links down there. We'll get to those in just a moment. Now, they also made some improvements on the Lightnite store, and you can finally change your username and password, which that was a little bit confusing at first that we couldn't do that. I didn't know how to do that. when I first got started. So it's nice to see that actually make it in there now, especially as they're probably going to have more people coming into the game, and that's a pretty crucial feature. They also added a 24/7 chat support, although they can't really support it 24/7 right now. I believe this is a small team, so expecting them to be able to cover something 24/7 when they really don't have a revenue stream coming in just yet from a bunch of people actually playing the game or advertisers or these sorts of things. They're probably working with money that they got from investors or money they're working with from themselves. I can only speculate on this as to how they're actually doing this, but I would imagine if I were to be doing a startup and making a game like this, it would be hard to be available 24/7 even with a medium-sized team of somewhere between 10 to 20 people. I don't know what size their team is though, so I can't say. Now, the feedback and issue reporting system, this one is actually pretty neat. So if you go to their feedback and issue system, I'll give you a link to this one. It's issues.lightnite.io. You can add your feedback and your suggestions here, where they will take a look at that. I've added mine, and I've already got it open here. I went through a bunch of the things that we talked about in the video, and I shared that with them so that they could have that feedback as well. Now, back to the dev blog, because I want to get this over with, because there's a lot going on today. There is the updated roadmap, and man, in crypto, a lot of people see a change in a roadmap and they freak out and they think that the project is falling apart, and that's just not the case every time. Like I said, I'm a certified project manager, and projects do not always go the way you anticipate. There are risks, there are threats to your project, and things come up that can either be something that you can crash, essentially apply more resources to and get things done on time, and there's other things where you don't have the time, you don't have the money, so instead of trying to get everything done within your original time frame, you just extend your time frame, or you focus on different priorities at different times to make sure you get all your tasks accomplished. So just because the roadmap's changed a little doesn't mean that they're not working on it. And they do address that they are dealing with the coronavirus stuff themselves, with the social distancing, although this is probably a type of industry where remote work is probably not too bad of an option, although I haven't done work with Unity, so I can't really say what they're having to deal with on that end with these sort of things. And they've also mentioned that they are going to be having releases every 2 to 3 weeks, and the next one's going to have their character customization, basic NPC targets, and a damage system. So that's going to be really interesting to see. I can't wait to actually customize the character and then actually hopefully get to damage some NPCs, maybe even kill them. Who knows what they're going to do. And then they have some other things coming up. I'm not going to get too much into it because those things are going to come along later, and we'll probably have another video before then. They've also added some art for hoverboards, and these are actually pretty cool. They've also done some vehicles that are hoverboard type. I guess you would call them hover vehicles, whatever. And finally, I know I'm going through this pretty quick. This is a long video already. The Blockstream satellite packs. So they have added some models into the game, including a Blockstream satellite, and that's part of their collaboration with them. And if you're not familiar with Blockstream, they have a satellite network that broadcasts the Bitcoin blockchain around the world 24/7 for free. So you might have heard about this if you follow crypto, and essentially allows the Bitcoin network to continue going even if something were to happen to some sort of internet infrastructure in your region. So you would still have access through it with Blockstream. So I think we are almost done. They had another collaboration where they came up with a skin. They have their referral codes to where I believe you can get these skins or these knives. But since you've been watching my video, I'm going to tell you to check out my referral code, where you'll get several things for yourself as well. You will get a 20% discount, which I believe makes the game about $16 right now. You'll get a skin and 500 satoshis. So you can make up your own mind on what referral you would want to use if you're considering to purchase the game. But if you want to use mine, it's in the description of the video. I think now we are actually done covering everything I wanted to cover in the video. So I thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like. And while you're down there, if you haven't already, please subscribe. We're going to cover Lightnite even more. But that is finally the end of it, and have a nice day. Thank you.